This is an extract from the Leader podcast by the Evening Standard. The whole thing is available on all major podcast providers.
If you count the legal votes, I easily win. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election from us.
Donald Trump doubles down on baseless claims the US election has been stolen from him. The president is known to be loose with the truth, but his fiery statement at the White House podium on Thursday evening appeared to cross a line. Some TV networks chose to cut their live broadcast short, citing unfounded conspiracies, while others provided live fact checks as he spoke. And with the election result on a knife edge, a growing number of Republicans are distancing themselves from Mr. Trump. Evening Standard Assistant Editor Michael Howie joins me. Michael, what are some of the reactions to the president's claims from within his own party?
We've seen quite a flurry of criticism from Republicans, actually. I think to a degree that we haven't really seen before under Trump's presidency. We had a number of figures coming out in pretty strong terms, some of whom you probably wouldn't have heard of, but others you will, more prominent voices. We got, for example, Representative Adam Kinzinger, who's a Republican from Illinois, and he tweeted that the president's claims of fraud were actually getting insane, was the quote. He also tweeted that that he needs to stop spreading debunked misinformation. Not a lone voice at all. Another by the name of Larry Hogan, who's the governor of Maryland, and actually apparently a potential 2024 presidential hopeful, who actually came out and said that there is no defense of the president's comments tonight, undermining our democratic process. America is counting the votes and we must respect the results as we always have before. And just worth mentioning as well, Chris Christie, who's a former New Jersey governor, and he's actually a Trump ally, who is now an analyst on ABC News. And he called the Trump's attack a bad strategic decision. So not necessarily just morally wrong, but also a politically bad move.
And what about from the TV networks who broadcast his speech?
I think this is really quite an amazing moment, to be honest. I mean, what we had was the President of the United States, delivering a statement from the White House in the aftermath of an election, and a string of major US networks like ABC, CBS, NBC, pulling away from the more inflammatory claims of fraud and of how Democrats and also big media, big tech are stealing the election from him, to actually cut their coverage of a presidential statement on the back of an election in what is said to be the greatest democracy in the world is, I think, an incredible moment. I mean, there were others who stuck with it, Fox News and CNN, but I cannot recall a situation like this where you have the main TV channels, networks, or several of the main networks, deciding not to cover what the leader is saying.
So does anyone believe the president's claims that the US election is being stolen?
I think the short answer to that is yes. I think we probably just need to look at the scenes we've had in over the last couple of days and nights in Phoenix, in Arizona, and in Detroit, Michigan, where Trump supporters have been besieging, if that's not too strong a word, the main counting centres there, where officials are sort of locked inside with extra security, counting the ballots with oversight. Everything is happening as it should be. And yet we have hundreds of Trump protesters there demanding, on the one hand, that every single vote be counted because they think that there's some shenanigans and there could be some fraud going on that will deny Trump the votes that would take him across the line. In Arizona and in Michigan, it's weirdly the opposite. They're actually saying, well, stop the vote, stop the count rather, it's corrupt. We just need to bring a halt to it. We have a large number, I would imagine, of Trump supporters on the ground who clearly believe what he says. I think within the Republican Party, a lot of these dissenting voices, I would imagine, probably don't believe what the president's saying, but believe it's the right, so the judicial thing for them to be seen to be supporting him. He still has he certainly has had an incredible hold over the Republican Party over the last 4 years. So I think the answer to that is yes, but I also think that there is a tide shifting away from the president within his own party.
As you've said there, we've seen in interviews some of his supporters repeating his claims. Do we have a sense of what the consequences could be if Mr. Trump's allegations are supported or believed?
Well, I think, if they're supported and believed among his supporters, you can expect to see more of the protests that we've seen over the last few days. I have to say that, we shouldn't overplay the degree of protesting that's happening. So far, I think the election has been carried out, and the counting, etc., has been carried out in a very proper and straightforward manner, and there's been no major incidents of ballots going missing or being burned or centres being attacked or anything like that, despite the protests. But if this situation continues and Trump continues to call foul while Biden is actually crosses the line, the 270 electoral votes, college votes he needs to be the president-elect, then I think we can expect to see more dissent, possibly on widespread unrest in a number of cities. What's probably more significant is whether the courts believe that Trump is actually correct. Can he produce any evidence of any irregularities, any potential skullduggery, or even just inconsistencies that could cause a question mark to be thrown over the validity of some of the results in these key battleground states where we're still waiting for the votes to be counted. They're all incredibly close, like Georgia, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Arizona. So if this does go to the courts, and any of his complaints are upheld or significant allegations, then of course we could see we're into a whole different sort of ball game. We could see the election potentially being held to be null and void, or some sort of recount going on in a number of states, which and who knows where we'll be at in that situation.